Hi, thank you for watching Dig into China. I'm Dong Shang. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. At the close of January, a surprising piece of news emerged. Singapore and China mutually waived visa requirements for ordinary passport holders. When will this policy take effect? It will be implemented on February 9th, the eve of the Chinese New Year. Simply put, if one can still purchase plane tickets, a trip to Singapore is now feasible, or Singaporean residents can celebrate the Chinese New Year in China. Singapore's population was around 5.4 million 2 years ago, likely increased but not surpassing 6 million now. Even if all of Singapore's alluring citizens visit China, it's unlikely to significantly impact China's GDP. The primary objective is to encourage Chinese citizens to explore Singapore. I'm confident that the Chinese Communist Party sees this development as a remarkable achievement. Why? Because given today's complex international landscape, striking a mutual visa exemption deal for ordinary passport holders with a developed nation is considered a diplomatic success from the CCP's perspective. In the midst of widespread critiques of China's foreign policies, especially the perceived assertive wolf warrior diplomacy causing tensions, the agreement with Singapore serves as a positive narrative. It indicates that China hasn't offended anyone, and even developed nations are granting us visa exemptions. I believe Xi Jinping must be feeling quite content and genuinely delighted with this diplomatic win. Singapore is, in fact, quite cunning as a nation, particularly from the standpoint of China. Why do I say this? In recent years, both Hong Kong and Shanghai were financial hubs, correct? China suddenly possesses two substantial financial centers. However, due to the arbitrary upheavals by Xi Jinping, both locations have been adversely affected. China's A-share and Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index have experienced a significant and distressing decline. Although the A-share index has recently experienced a partial rebound due to government interventions, it's comparable to administering adrenaline. While it may revive a person on the brink of death, giving them a moment to catch their breath, genuine recovery necessitates addressing the underlying illness. Just as you wouldn't expect someone injected with adrenaline to instantly spring back to life and run a marathon, it's not a feasible expectation. The root cause of the issue hasn't been eradicated. Now consider whether China's stock market has effectively tackled its fundamental problems. No, it hasn't. The challenges persist and the market is already in a critical condition. Therefore, with the government stepping in to boost the stock market, my advice is to sell quickly, sell as much as possible. Mitigate losses when you can. Act swiftly to disentangle yourself. Delaying may leave no opportunity for recovery. Following Xi Jinping's direct intervention that led to the upheaval of the stock markets in Hong Kong and Shanghai, where did the capital redirect itself? It found its way to Singapore. In the past 2 to 3 years, a substantial number of affluent individuals have chosen to settle in Singapore or Japan. Singapore has now assumed the position of the Asian financial hub, surpassing Hong Kong. The country has become the beneficiary of a significant influx of Chinese capital. What's more, numerous Chinese billionaires have chosen Singapore as their new home, transferring their wealth accordingly. Some companies have even relocated their headquarters to Singapore, aiming to facilitate the product's export to the United States. Both TikTok and Temu have shifted their headquarters to Singapore, with key corporate executives making the move as well. Singapore has managed to draw wealth and billionaires to its country, but it appears that it still seeks more. Its recent agreement with China on visa-free travel for ordinary passport holders is a significant diplomatic gesture towards Xi Jinping. However, the question remains, who would be inclined to visit Singapore? For the Chinese, is Singapore a top-notch tourist destination? Clearly not. Given Singapore's absence of diverse cuisine, scenery, beauty, and a rich cultural history, when it comes to tourism, many Chinese would rather opt for destinations like Thailand or Malaysia. What makes Singapore appealing to Chinese individuals? The key attraction lies in the opportunity to open a bank account. Chinese citizens can easily establish a bank account in Singapore, making it an enticing choice for millionaires, multimillionaires who may not be visiting for tourism, but rather to set up a bank account. When traveling to other countries, the initial hurdle is usually obtaining a visa, and the United States in particular is often selective in granting visas. Additionally, even if you secure a visa, many countries have restrictions on opening a bank account. Japan, for instance, prohibits it. While Hong Kong allows account opening, it doesn't present a significant contrast to mainland China. On the other hand, in Singapore, you have the flexibility to open an account. A considerable number of affluent individuals in China seeks to seamlessly move their wealth abroad. The primary move in asset transfer involves opening an overseas bank account. While there are numerous subsequent steps, the first one cannot be taken without an account abroad. Picture this: Singapore stepping in as the new Asian financial hub, overtaking Hong Kong and Shanghai, drawing away both businesses and billionaire assets. What comes next? It's targeting the next echelon of wealthy individuals eager to attract all prosperous individuals to Singapore. Singapore's policies are explicitly designed to attract your wealth, harvesting a portion of China's affluent population. As these assets flow in, there is a corresponding demand for a variety of financial services, significantly benefiting Singapore's economy. While Singapore extends substantial recognition to China, it reaps tangible benefits primarily in the form of acquiring your money. The CCP may receive acknowledgement, but concurrently it experiences a loss of wealth as fortunes of the super rich followed by the less affluent elites, and then the next tier of affluent individuals all shift their assets elsewhere. When it comes to this aspect, Japan lags significantly behind Singapore. Despite Japan's low visa requirement, the various restrictions make obtaining an investment or business visa challenging. The process of opening a bank account in Japan is intricate in comparison, making the overall procedure more cumbersome. In contrast, Singapore's procedures are much simpler, highlighting that Japan cannot match Singapore in this regard. Why is Singapore currently engaged in this initiative? There is a saying, when a whale falls, all things come to life. Singapore has a deep understanding of mainland China and is clear about its own goals. Singapore believes that China's economy will encounter issues in the coming years, prompting many wealthy individuals to consider escaping and transferring their wealth overseas. Singapore positions itself as the recipient of this wealth, attracting both affluent individuals and their assets. With its low tax rates, Singapore becomes an appealing destination. Despite its small size, limited population, and the lack of natural resources, Singapore's strength lies in finance. Since the Chinese Communist Party has muddled the economy, causing wealthy individuals to seek refuge abroad, why wouldn't Singapore seize the opportunity and welcome them? Many countries refrain from accepting Chinese wealth, primarily to combat money laundering. However, Singapore doesn't share these concerns. It actively seeks to attract and legitimize Chinese wealth, aiming to facilitate the transfer of Chinese funds. While I'm not familiar with the specific steps for opening a bank account in Singapore, as I don't have an account there myself, I do know that the process is relatively straightforward. Additionally, Singapore is likely to capitalize on the recent mutual visa exempting policy, simplifying the account opening procedures further and making it more convenient for Chinese individuals to transfer their wealth. In contrast to the strict scrutiny in the United States and Japan, Singapore tends to be less stringent about verifying the source of funds. Even if there are regulations, they often appear to be more of a formality. This aligns with the concept of when a whale falls, all things come to life. Amid China's decline in this era, numerous countries are seizing opportunities to prosper. Singapore is at the forefront, actively and strategically capitalizing on this situation, particularly in the financial domain. On the other hand, countries like Vietnam, Myanmar, Thailand, India, and even Mexico are undergoing a more passive absorption of China's manufacturing and supply chain. While some nations are taking steps to actively attract foreign investment, the overall trend leans towards a more reactive scenario. Singapore, however, stands out as the first country to proactively embrace this opportunity, akin to a shark feasting on a declining whale. In contrast, fields such as technology, manufacturing, and talent, though valuable, holds less significance than finance. Modern society's heavy reliance on finance is evident, as a broken financial chain can disrupt everything. Even with technology and talent, their effectiveness diminishes if the financial link is severed. The reasoning behind this should be clear, but why can't the top leadership of the CCP see or acknowledge it? It's a blatantly obvious situation that will invariably lead to certain outcomes. Yet Xi Jinping insists on pursuing this course, where political considerations take precedence over economic considerations. He believes that securing mutual visa exemptions from developed countries earns him enough prestige. This includes bribing some countries to sever diplomatic ties with Taiwan, which he views as political and a diplomatic triumph. As for the financial implications or potential losses, he genuinely doesn't care. Having prestige is enough. Other consequences such as factory closures or people losing their jobs can be ignored. I anticipate that many countries might also come to realize the need to open their doors to Chinese capital fleeing the country, lowering the barriers to accommodate such funds. Despite Singapore being the first to act when the whale fell, its capacity is limited due to its smaller size. Consider, for instance, how Japan might respond. If Japan catches on, its stock market could see a continuous rise, with a significant impact from Chinese capital. Many Japanese investors are already suggesting, let's sell these investment products to the Chinese first. We'll secure the money now. And when they become aware of the situation and the prices drop, we can repurchase them. Hence, many observers are noting that several countries are beginning to realize the potential benefits when the giant whale, China, descends into the deep sea. They are contemplating how much nutritional value it will release and how much they can seize for themselves. The question arises, can they secure the largest and the most substantial portion? Should Japan, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, or the United States make a move? The idea is to consume as much of the nutrients as possible and then witness the colossal whale peacefully resting on the ocean floor, creating an ecological haven for other marine life. Is this a plausible scenario? I believe it is, and this is not an exaggerated claim. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly. Until then, be well.